Coucou les amis, it's Camden and today I'm back with another video. It's been a while since I've had a chit-chat video. Last time was this spring when I talked about how I became an English teacher in France. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. As I said, my name is Camden. I'm an American from the US and I have been living here in France for the past 4 years, but I just wanted to give you a little life update. So in my last video where I talk about teaching in France, I mentioned that I have a fixed term contract. So I work at a university teaching English, mostly conversation classes, but unfortunately that job is only 2 years maximum, so it's the end of that job. And if I wanted to stay in France, I really needed to find a way to stay. So I had a couple of different options because I wanted to keep teaching English. I enjoy teaching. It's easy to teach English abroad. I mean, it's not an easy job, but that's something you can do when you're abroad. If you need a job, you can teach your native language. So there are a few different routes I could have gone for this. So I technically only did the teaching assistant program in France, TAPIF, only once, so I was eligible to reapply and be an assistant again. And I actually did apply and I got accepted, but I decided to decline the offer because, well, it's only 12 hours a week, so it's a part-time job. I would have been going from full-time teaching to part-time. And that also means a part-time salary, so only 800, 900 euros per month, you know, which you can live on. You can make it work totally, especially if you aren't in a super big city. I decided, you know, I didn't want to be an assistant. I wanted to keep having my own classes, and it would have kind of felt like a step back in my career. Plus, I'm not sure if I would have had to go back to the United States to renew my visa or not for that, and that would have broken my residency in France. If you have uninterrupted residency for 5 years, 2 years in some cases, like doing a master's in France or being a student, or if you get married to a French person, but in most cases it's 5 years of uninterrupted residency before you can apply for long-term residency or a French nationality, which I may be considering in the future, who knows. So another option I was seriously considering was becoming a freelance English teacher. A lot of the jobs I had seen on LinkedIn and on other job searching sites were for freelance teaching positions. They wanted you to have that auto-entrepreneur, micro-entrepreneur status. But to apply for that visa, that would be the entrepreneur profession libérale visa. And you have to have a really solid business plan for that, and, you know, letters from potential clients. And I'm sure I could have found some like potential language schools or students that would have been interested in hiring me as a teacher, but that was more of a riskier option. So the third option was going the route of becoming a private school teacher in France. Since I'm not European or French, I cannot become a public school teacher, unfortunately, but you can take the same national teacher's exam and work at French private schools that are contracted through the Éducation nationale. So to do that, you can either take a master's program, which I didn't want to do since I already have 2 master's degrees, or you can take it as a independent candidate, which I know some people have done, but by the time I was looking into that option, it was too late to sign up. So the exams are usually in the spring, but you have to sign up by the fall, before that, by like October or September, really early. So that was a no-go for this year. And then my last option was to look for jobs at private and international bilingual schools in France. So I wanted to stay in the south because my boyfriend is moving to Toulouse to work, and I really like the life here in the south. So I looked for some jobs there. I actually had a couple of interviews. One school wanted to have me back for a second interview, but they told me they couldn't sponsor my visa, so didn't end up going with that one, obviously. And I branched out and decided to look for jobs all throughout France, not just in the south, and there are a lot of international and bilingual schools in Paris, and that's where I ended up getting a job. So I learned about this school through, I think, an English teacher Facebook group. Surprisingly, Facebook is a good way to network if you're an English teacher in France. And I'm not going to say the name of the school because I do want to keep some things private, of course. But luckily, this school was able to sponsor my visa, and I think some of the things that helped contribute to me being hired by the school is because so even though I don't have a teaching licensure from France, I do have one from my home country, the US. I've been working in French schools for the past 4 years. And yeah, I was just also really motivated. I wrote a whole blog post about how I found this teaching job and also different options you can look into in case you're curious about working as an English teacher in France. So I'll put that blog post, in the description below. So I found out about that job in May, in the springtime, so that was a huge relief. And I actually wasn't sure how the interview went at first because it was over Skype. I think, it was also in another language, and the people interviewing me were wearing masks, so I couldn't see what their facial expressions were like, so I really wasn't sure how it went, but luckily it went well. And then I finished my last semester as lectrice d'anglais, which was kind of sad because half my classes were in person, but a lot of them were online. So it's kind of a, anticlimactic ending to my 2 years there, but c'est la vie. And then this summer, I've just been kind of enjoying my last, few months here in the south as a resident of the south of France. I'm happy to be moving to a bigger city like Paris because it is a little bit more connected to the world. It's easier to get a flight to other countries, especially the US. It's a bigger city, so there's always something going on, whereas here it feels kind of small. You kind of really have to really look for things to do sometimes. But I will really miss all the nature here, the local culture, the Catalan culture is really special. I'm definitely going to miss all the views of the Pyrenees, also being so close to the sea as well. So I definitely want to get back to the sea, the beach a few more times, and then hopefully maybe do a little hike in the mountains one more time too before I go. Otherwise, I'll come back. I'm definitely going to come back to this region in the future. And then I was also able to go back to the US and see my family for the first time in a year and a half. Like, that's the longest I've ever been away from them. And it was really hard. I think that's the hardest thing about living abroad, is being away from friends and family back home. So I was able to go to California as well as New England, and I had a blast. It was too short. And then I got back to France last month at the end of July, and my next challenge is finding an apartment in Paris. And if you know Paris, you know it's super hard to find a good place to live there, especially if you're not French. It's hard for French people, but it is especially hard if you're not French, because you have to have a dossier, like a rental file when you apply to apartments. And in this dossier, you have, your ID, things like your old pay stubs, all kinds of things, your work contract. And usually, to have a really solid dossier, you have a French guarantor, you have a long-term contract, and you make at least 3 times the rent. And I don't have a French guarantor because I'm not French, but I do have the guarantee Garantie and Garantie Visale, which are 2 sites you can use if you do not have a French guarantor, which are really helpful. Visale is like a government website, and that one is totally free. And then Garantie, if you end up going with them, I think there is a fee, but that's only if if the landlord wants to go with Garantie and you have to send them their contract. But Visale works well too. That's what I have for my place now. And then I also have a CDD, which is a fixed term contract. So my next contract is also just 1 year long, but this one is renewable for a few years until I can have a CDI, so much better than nothing. But it is harder to find housing if you have like kind of a shorter contract. So I had a few visits in Paris when I flew back from the US. You know, it's tough because sometimes agencies or landlords aren't responsive. Sometimes places go by like that. You know, I had a last minute appointment that I was able to schedule and I was super happy to visit this place. But then like I get a call the same like later that day saying, oh, we have to cancel your visit because the landlord already chose someone. I had one place that was, you know, kind of decent. I wasn't initially like super thrilled about it, but then I saw it was still available, so I sent them my dossier. Didn't hear anything back, so I assumed, you know, I didn't get it. And then like 2 weeks later, I got an email asking me if I was still interested in the place. You know, I was like, what is going on? I saw a really nice place that in like Montmartre that was really good for the size and the price, but I have a feeling that they had a lot of other visits, and I won't find out about that one until later, so I don't know. And so some of the websites and apps I've been using to find these places are Sudoje, Jinka, which they kind of compile different announcements from different like agencies together. But I also wrote another blog post about all the struggles I've had searching for an apartment in Paris, if you're curious. That link is below as well. Oh yeah, I've also been looking at a site called Flatlooker, which is 100% virtual. It's kind of a newer startup, and I know it sounds kind of sketchy, like 100% virtual visits, but there's photos, there's like a 3D like view, so you can like, you know, click and scroll around the different parts of an apartment. There is video as well of someone, you know, going into the apartment and also outside, so you can see, and it seems to be a little more, you know, foreigner friendly, since you don't have to actually be there to visit. And I looked up the Google and Trustpilot reviews as well as some, like, see if people mentioned it and on any expat Facebook groups, and it seems legit. I'll let you know if I ended up going through them or if I find a place through an agency, or I'll keep you all updated, and then we can do a fun little apartment tour video in Paris. And then another crazy thing that happened to me on a train back when I was going from Paris back to the south was one of my bags got stolen. And I'm smiling now, but it was really, oh, it was so hard when it happened. And I did a story time on my TikTok, which I'll link below, but basically if you are in a train in France for a long time and you don't have a space to put your bag like above your seat or close to you, and you have to store it in the luggage area by the door, make sure you check on it frequently, especially during the stops, because that's a lot of the time that's when people will just come on the train for just the stop and just hop back off to steal stuff. So luckily, like, I had my phone, computer, wallet all in my bag with me on the train the whole time, but my other bag, it mostly had like clothes and like some chargers and stuff, you know, which was a bummer to lose. But like the worst thing was that my passport was in that bag. Like, I forgot to transfer my passport into my purse the night before because, you know, when I was walking around Paris, I didn't want to have my passport in my purse with me. I kept it in the hotel, but then I forgot to transfer it back to my purse before I took the train. Big mistake. Always verify you have your passport with you during transport. Yeah, unfortunately my bag got stolen with my passport in it, so I had to report that to the police, and SNCF, the train company, they couldn't do anything technically because the bags aren't checked, so technically it's not their responsibility, it's mine. But I haven't heard anything back from the police or SNCF, so I think that bag is gone for good, unfortunately. But, you know, when I got home, though, after filing the police report, I went to the State Department's website, also reported that my passport was stolen there, and I had to make an appointment to get it renewed at the U.S. Embassy in Paris. There are a few embassies here in France. I believe there's one in Marseille and one in Strasbourg. And Marseille would have been the closest one to go to, but they didn't really have a lot of appointments available, and I was moving to Paris anyway, so I made an appointment to go back to Paris and get that done. So luckily that went smoothly. It was just kind of a bummer to have to, you know, travel all the way back there, go to the appointment, you know, pay for a new passport, and also that knowledge that, you know, maybe someone has my passport out there, someone has a personal document of mine. Of course, if someone tries to use it as at a border or something, then like obviously it'll get flagged because I reported to the State Department that it was stolen. So I'm doing well now, you know. It got better with time. There's just a few more weeks of summer left. You know, everyone in France is on vacation now. I mean, I still get to enjoy some time off, but I'm mostly just, you know, spending this time preparing for the new school year. Let me know if you want to see like a teacher vlog of me preparing for back to school as a teacher in France. That could be fun to film. Still waiting to hear about apartments. You know, I'd like to have an apartment before I move there. You know, my plan B is to rent an Airbnb for like a month or a couple weeks or something while I look for other places, but hopefully I'll have a place for myself. I'll figure it out. Oh, there's a kitty that wants to come say hello. Come here. Oh, there she is. And then this little kitty, Jean-Jean, she's gonna stay with my boyfriend in the south because it'd be less transport in the train for her, so she wouldn't have to travel super far away. Plus, he is a freelancer, so he spends more time at home than I would at school, and I wouldn't want you to be lonely at home, would I? Anyway, that's mostly it for my little life update. But all right, she wants to say goodbye. Say bye-bye. All right, so yeah, I will make another video soon, like a little apartment tour once I find my place, maybe another back to school video. But you know, like this video and make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you want to, you know, see what's next for my life in Paris. All right, à la prochaine. You press me to your I would